Hola y bienvenidos, mis estudiantes. Este es Mr. Señor. We're going over this week verbs that are similar to gustar. Some of them are similar in meaning, some are dissimilar in meaning, but the whole idea is that the conjugation pattern is the same. Last week I threw something new at you guys that the verb gustar actually means to please and not to like. So in review, if I want to say I like, we say it pleases me. And we conjugate the verb for what thing pleases me. So if it is one thing, it is gusta. If it is multiple things, it is gustan. And then we only change to who the person is pleased. In this case, me is me, you is te, him or her is le, us is nos, and y'all is les. The words that I've underlined are called direct object pronouns. Now, I tell my students every year, do not be confused by fancy grammar terms. I'm going to explain it to you in the simplest way I possibly can. A direct object pronoun tells us to who an action happens. So who is pleased? Me, you, him, her, us, and them. And you're going to see this pattern as we go throughout these notes. You'll have to fill these out as well, so make sure that you're filling these notes out as we go along. I apologize for this being offset. I still don't understand why it does this sometimes. Fascinar. This is one of our verbs that we're learning this week. Fascinar means to fascinate or to be fascinated by. When we conjugate it, it's going to be the same pattern as gustar, and I'm going to write slow here so that it's very nice and neat for you. But if we want to say it fascinates me, we say me for me, and then fascina. For it fascinates me. If you want to make it plural, me fascinan. If the thing that fascinates you is plural. It fascinates you would be te fascinan, fascina, or you can make it plural as well. It fascinates him or her. Le fascina or fascinan. Le, me, te. I'm just going to underline the part that changes every time we quote unquote conjugate the verb or change who is fascinated. It fascinates us. Nos fascina or an. And lastly, it fascinates them or y'all. Les fascina or fascinan. So you would use this verb in a very similar context to what we would in English, like saying if you like something, you're fascinated by it, if you're intrigued by it. One thing is you don't use this sarcastically. When I was in Chile, I learned this verb, and then I was using it, and we were asked, it was actually in class. So I gave an example. I said I was being sarcastic, and I said, "Me fascinan las personas que fuman en Chile." I am fascinated by the number of people who smoke in Chile. Now that's sarcasm in English. It doesn't work that way in Spanish. So he was, and the professor gave me a look like, you like that? So we use this verb like gustar, and it's not used in sarcasm. So just be careful when you're using this verb that you're not being sarcastic. Encantar is to love, adore, or it can also mean to enchant. Notice that the translations that I've given you are I love, you love, he loves, she loves, we love, and they love, just because that's the simplest translation for it, but it's going to be conjugated the same way as gustar. So we start off, I want to say I love, we say it enchants me, me encanta, or if the thing is plural, encantan. You love, te encanta, and if it's plural. The thing that you love if it's plural. So if you love hamburgers, me encantan hamburguesas. We have he or she loves, le encanta, or plural with an N. We love, nos encanta, and if it's plural. They love or y'all love, les encanta, and if it's plural. Yeah. Again, works just like the verb gustar. I highly recommend writing these notes on your own using Cami, just because it doesn't line up quite right. I don't know why I'm on my iPad and it's not quite working properly. So I'm going to try to fix that. But anyway, the verb molestar. Molestar is a false cognate. It does not mean to molest. It means to bother or annoy. More specifically, it's like to be bothered by. So if you want to say it bothers me, just like the verb gustar, we would say me molesta, and it would be molestan if it's plural. It bothers you. So I'm trying to offset. I wrote it too high that time. I'm trying to make it look like it does on my screen. It bothers you. The word for you in this case is te molesta. Now you might be asking, wait a second, why isn't it tu molesta? The reason it's not tu molesta is because this is a direct object pronoun. It's to who the action happens. So we have to change how we say it in Spanish. In English, we use the same word, whether it's a pronoun for a verb or a direct object pronoun. So, or in layman's terms, if we're using it to conjugate a verb in English, the word you, or if we're using it as the receiver of an action, it stays the same, but in Spanish it changes. It bothers him or her, le molesta, and if it's plural, see this one seems to be more better calibrated. Yeah, when I'm now with this one, if I'm writing directly where everything goes, it matches. I don't get it. It bothers us. You probably have noticed a pattern by now. Um, some of you will pick up the pattern here and you'll just go and fill out the rest of the notes, and that's fine. If you ever see a pattern in what I'm doing, unless I say otherwise, you can move on and fill in the notes, and if you want to just have me in the background, you can. But that's that. Les molesta, it bothers them. And then N if it is plural. The last one, and this one is the most complicated verb I think I'm going to teach you for a while. All right. So quedar, literally translated, means to stay or remain. However, in the context of what we're going to be talking about, this is not the translation we're going to use. For our purposes, quedar is going to mean is, are, or like. A better translation, if I were to try to use one of the standard translations for quedar, it can also mean to fit. So if I'm just going to use these in some examples. Quedar works just like the verb gustar in how it's conjugated. So I'm going to go over some examples, and I'm actually going to do a separate lesson on this as well. So just stay tuned for that because I'm going to explain it more in detail later. I want to say the movie is scary to me. There's many ways you can say this. If you were going to use the verb quedar, you would say la. Oop, of course. Let's try that again. Make sure I'm using the correct tool. I am. La película me queda asustante. Just from our vocab list, asustante. If I were to literally translate this, and we don't take this translation, we take the one that I just gave you, this would say the movie fits me scary. However, when we translate it, if or interpret it in English, we would say this movie is scary to me. So that's how you would use this verb to mean is are like, but it technically you could translate as fit here, and it makes marginal sense. Not exactly. This again, this is the most complicated thing for this unit of instruction. If you can get this, if you can use it, that is impressive because it's very elegant, very advanced. The movie is exciting to you. So to me was Me Queda, the movie, la película is exciting to you. Te queda emocionante. I believe that was the word I used in your vocab list. The movie is exciting to you, or the movie fits you emotional. That's what we're saying. Horror films are funny to us. That's a little odd, but we'll use it. Las películas nos queda. Now think about this, and you can pause the video to answer it. Is it going to be queda or quedan? Hint, hint. Are películas plural or singular? If you said quedan, you are correct. Nos quedan. Funny would be cómicos. That is the letter C. Okay, we'll just rewrite it. Sometimes this thing does not like to write very nicely. Col. Me. Cos. Accent mark. Try to put a dot on the. There we go. Perfecto. So las películas nos quedan cómicos would be the movies fit us funny, or we could interpret it as horror films are funny to us. Very, very complicated stuff here. If you can read it, great. If you can use this in context, that's even better. This is a very, very elegant term. So feel free to experiment with it this week. If you have any questions, you can email me at gmakowski@nrwcs.org.